Aye. Aye. Why don't you come here? It's better over here, you'll see.
Excuse me, what the
But is it true? Hi, welcome back to Keys with Gwen. Today we're talking about small companies versus medium-sized companies. Based on my personal experience, I've been working with both and collecting data from people in the industry. I've compiled a list of similarities and differences between each type to help you pick your next company. So let's get to it. We have a few topics in hand. We have communication, job scope, growth, problem solving, projects management, and salary. Communication. In a small company, feedbacks and issues are solved faster because there's not a very long hierarchy to go for. So basically, when you are done with one thing and you would like the boss to and you would like to show the boss, so you can either show it to him immediately and you get the feedback in maybe 10 minutes time depending on how busy he is. Whereas in a medium company, you need to report to your superiors, your supervisors, your leads, and then the message might be flushed away in the middle. Basically, your message might be misinterpreted or lost in translation or transition. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, it just means that you need to follow up with your question more often and be patient to wait for your answer. Job scope. In a small company, you might have to wear multiple hats at the same time. And you have to multitask. Because you wear a lot of hats, maybe you have to jump from department to department depending on which of them may need your immediate help or your immediate attention. In some way, it is also a good way to train your management or your time management skills. So have fun with that. In a medium-sized company, the job scope might be more loose. Depends on what you want, because you can either go for a generalist route or a specialist route. Generalist route, you might be shifted from each department depending on like who needs the resource more. Or if as a specialized route, you have the option of saying like, yeah, I just want to do animation
and I don't want anything else.
and you stand firm to it. There's no right and no wrong in that. It's just that you make your intentions clear. So the supervisors know where do they place you in the company. In a medium-sized company as well, you can focus more on your tasks and you can meet more artists of the similar level. Whereas in a small company, actually they don't. Sometimes there will be times that you join as the senior. In some ways, it means you have to find your own way to go and manage different projects or how to problem solve and all that. In some ways, you're a pioneer for someone else. Whereas in a mid-sized company, because you have more colleagues to talk to or more seniors or juniors to share with, you can share with each other your skills and maybe even your plugin tools for Maya. And in some ways, we are just helping each other to grow as artists. And to me, that's actually a very important part of the job, because as artists, you're required to up your skills as much as possible so that you can take on more better, challenging and nicer animation shots. And to me, that's actually a motivation for me to continue in this industry. Growth. So in small companies, because you are more towards the pioneer of that company, so you have a more big and powerful impact in the company, and you can be their valuable asset in the early days, because it's like you built the company together with the CEO or something. So in some ways, it's like you have a /animator/ entrepreneurship feeling. In terms of the medium-sized company, because you don't have to jump from each department or do everything, there's lesser impact, but it's more linear. But it depends, because in some ways you can learn from your seniors, and it depends on what you really want in the company. You have more routes to pursue as well. In general, it means that if you want to go to the senior artist side, so you can focus on your skills as an animator, you have that path, or you have the lead path. The lead path, it depends if you are a senior and you are a lead, or you want something different, because it depends if you want management to be part of your job as well, because lead is a half management, half artist role. If you're in a small company, you might have to be everything. That's great. Problem solving. So in a small company, mostly the problem solving comes from you. You yourself have to think about like how do you approach things and all that, and you have to be more proactive and be more part of the pipeline and the building process of it, because it's a bit like you start from zero and there's no pipeline and all that, and sometimes the startup companies, they require you to build from scratch. So you might be wondering, but I'm a fresh grad, what am I supposed to do? I don't know this and that, I have no experience. Well, in terms of that, you can always refer to your other friends who are working in other companies, because not everybody works in small companies. There will be people who will be in the mid-size and the large-size ones, and maybe from there you can have some inspiration on how to do the pipeline from scratch. There's a lot of guides and online for it as well, so you can trust our best friend, Google.
Stop taking my info for advertisement, please.
So in terms of a small company, it's a chaotic yet rapid learning experience, and you have more to gain from that. If you want that, go for it. Don't let that little guy at the top of the building shout at you to say that,
Oi, companies that are bigger are better. The bigger they are, the better.
I ain't talking about anything else. So if this is what you want to focus on, a small company really gives you a lot from that. Whereas in a medium company, you have a more clear and definitive pipeline. Everything is more structured and planned, so when you go in, you know where to find your solutions, you know who to approach and all that. It's a very straightforward matter. In some ways, because it does not require you to do a lot of problem solving that is outside of animation, so you have more time to focus on your animation skills. Projects. Small companies mostly have either IPs or they are a service company. But usually, because you're small, you need to build up your audience and your reach and all that. So it's more lesser known projects, unless it's somebody that's already very well known in the industry, like this guy.
Notice me, senpai!
Yeah, so you have a chance to work with IPs or servicing other companies' projects. You can always ask them before you join, or you can just listen around in the industry for any news that you're thinking, yeah, now. So in a mid-sized company, because they had enough time to grow, so they have a more established position in the industry, so they have either better or more well-known projects, and it depends if they're still going towards the IP route or not. Management. Let's talk about management. Small companies have more volatile schedule because everything is more immediate. Like you need the trust from the client, or you need ways to start up because everything is very limited, and you don't really have many projects to fund yourself as a company. Sometimes you might not even have a coordinator to help you with the schedule. One of my animator friends, they actually had to plan their own schedule and their timing and their deadlines to meet with the boss's expectations. Because in a small company with limited resources, that's the thing that you have to do for yourself. Whereas in a medium-sized company, deadlines are more realistically manageable. Most of the time. But it really depends on the management team as well from your office. In my opinion, management is not really a very easy thing to do, and you can't really satisfy everybody. Sometimes there are hits and misses in a schedule, and deadlines might be more irregular and stuff, but it depends. If you're working on an IP, you have more time, but if you're working with a client with a tight deadline, well, you're screwed. Oh, and did I mention crunch time? Yep, crunch time is something that we'll talk about in another video in the near future, and how to deal with it. Salary. So in terms of salary, we are talking about how consistent they are in giving you your salary. One thing about small companies is because they're a startup and it's such a volatile thing. So it really depends if you get your salary or your EPF and such on time. Although it's illegal to do so, but because you have no choice, the client doesn't pay on time or something, and it might affect down the line. Be prepared to take a risk in that factor if you're working in a small company. Whereas in mid-sized companies, they are mostly on time. But as usual, it depends on the management or how the upper runs take care of the company. How do they secure funds, or how do they ensure that all of their artists are paid on time? This all also factors into it, but salary is a very sensitive thing to talk about, right? Especially between friends. There's no harm in sharing like whether this company pays on time or that company pays on time, because there are cases where some companies, they don't really pay their employees EPF on time. And in some ways it's already illegal, but I won't really get that deep into that, because my intention here is not really to blame anyone or name anyone. It's just that to make it more aware to everybody that yes, this does happen in the industry, be more aware of it, and then make better choices. Yep, so that's it. I hope this gives you some insight on the differences between these two types of companies. You might still be thinking, which one is better? It all depends on you. Remember, there's no right, no wrong, just which one aligns with your current goal. If you're the entrepreneur type, then you can go for a small company. You can learn more from there. But if you're I'm an artist and I would like to be an artist and I want to focus on my artistic skills, and yes, then a mid-sized company might be better for you. So you might still be thinking, oh, does that mean I should give up aiming high at big companies? Not at all. Instead, think of it as a stepping stone to reach your dream job. Experience, polished skills, well-established connections. That's important. If you really want it, you gotta move your asses to get there. Am I gonna get demonetized for saying asses? I don't know. So that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this and you might think of someone else who might need a hand in knowing a small and a medium-sized company, please share this video to your nearest peers, your friends, your students, anybody. And please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're happy, great. If you're sad, don't be sad. And I'll see you in the next one. See ya!